welcome to the Regular Joe's Podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Lots to talk about today, everyone. I'm looking. I have this. Look at how much I have written here. Lots of stuff.
Dave's got it all. He's got so much to talk about. He can't speak.
I was going to lead with something else, but I'm going to hold that for a couple seconds. But we're going to talk about Thor, the new Thor movie, Love and Thunder.
Love and the Thunder. We're going to talk about them both.
Love and the Thunder, and then we're going to talk about the Star Trek season finale. I guess. I mean,
yeah, the season finale.
Yeah, finale. But I can jump right in. James Caan passed away. I know we're a fan of his work. I know we've talked about him here and there. They just had a signing 6 months ago with him. But, you know.
Yeah, sad to hear that. And he wasn't, what was he, 82?
82. I mean, you know, that's not super old. They didn't say what he died of yet, at least as of today. So I don't know. But, you know.
Incredibly wide-ranging career. When you think about it, when you think, like, obviously Godfather is what comes to mind. Mm-hmm. But then Rollerball, you know. Misery.
And, well, he stopped these are acting in the 80s for like 6 years.
I mean, these are super Thief. These are super
Thief
iconic.
Is one of my favorites.
Super iconic roles, but all very, very different.
Yeah. Elf.
Again, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's you know, yeah. So
he seemed like a pretty, you know, he had his issues, but a pretty authentic guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a no bullshit guy for sure. From everything I've been reading since he passed, and some interviews that he did where he took no bullshit from the interviewers.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I haven't watched. I feel like I just recently watched Rollerball. I mean, within the past year, I think I'm gonna watch Thief on the big screen, which I have not. I don't know that have I ever seen it on the. I probably saw it in the movies when it came out, but I don't know that I've watched it since I've had like a tube television.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I love that movie. I mean, one of Michael Mann's first movies.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
it's great.
I mean, it's pre-Miami Vice, I'm pretty sure. Certainly pre-Heat.
Yep.
But one of the things I always love in a movie, non-genre, not our genre, is people breaking into things and people breaking out of prison movies. Those are always great.
Well, there's just like a built-in tension thing if it's done right. And the thing is, and the balance on that is how much they show you versus how much they hold back. So that, like, the person doing it always has to be just a little bit more in control of the circumstances than you are. So that, like I said, they've got it, but you're not 100% sure they've got it. And because I've seen it where it doesn't work, but Thief is brilliant. It's great.
Yeah, they do a good job. If you've seen The Italian Job, there's definitely the intricacies of breaking into things and stealing stuff. But anyway, it's good. It's got some flaws, but it's definitely good, and he's quite a character in that. But anyway, rest in peace, James Caan.
Yes.
Other random, Todd. What do you got? I know I have one written down for you.
Yes, but Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio confirmed for Echo. So
that just made Echo so much more watchable.
Oh my God!
I was just gonna say, I finally have a reason to look forward to Echo.
Yeah,
Echo is a supporting character in Daredevil. That's where she first appeared, and if this is a Daredevil and Kingpin story around that character, I'm totally.
If she
fine
just
with
like
that.
shows up,
no, but I'm saying
gets a sandwich and then leaves, I'm fine.
I am totally fine with that. I am so psyched to see those two characters back on screen.
Me too, but I'm just disappointed that it's not in a Kingpin or Daredevil show because I'm worried there's going to be too much Echo and not enough of the good stuff.
Well,
maybe it'll be like the Book of Boba Fett, like Mandalorian. We'll get full on.
Exactly. And the other thing too is
Daredevil.
There's like no, there's no saying, the rules aren't set out. It doesn't have to be, anything. It could be,
Is that this year?
It sounds like it's going to be 2023.
Oh, I thought it was coming next after.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like the Oprah Winfrey school of you get a series and you get a series. Like when they announced an Echo series, I was like,
and that's
I didn't see enough of that character to think she warranted a show.
I have been secretly hoping for this since they announced that, because I was like, if they're really going to bring them back, and then of course we got Kingpin with her. If they're really going to bring him back, it is the perfect way to do it, because it takes all that expectation of and all the baggage that comes with the Netflix thing. And it's like, is this continuity? Is it not continuity? And you just come in with those characters, and they're a little bit more Marvel and a little less Netflix. I think it's going to be.
It'll be interesting. She-Hulk is this year, though.
She-Hulk is soon.
Yeah,
that's the next thing, which is interesting.
Yep.
Barry, what do you got?
I got a couple things, but I'll jump in with this one. So last week we didn't touch on this because I know neither of you probably really care, but there is a new trailer for Clerks 3.
Oh, I thought you were saying Willow, but go ahead.
No, there's no. If there's Willow news, I missed it. But Clerks 3 trailer. I think the movie comes out in September. Anybody that listens to the show knows I'm a longtime Kevin Smith fan from way back since Clerks came out 28 years ago, which is crazy to think that it's been that many years, but. True to form, Kevin Smith has a heart attack, and what does he do? He writes a movie about one of his main characters having a heart attack and deciding he wants to make a movie about a convenience store. So, not he doesn't go deep on to find his subject matter, but excuse me, it looks entertaining as always. So, love to see those characters back, and it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. So. Like I said, I'm sure neither of you care.
Or sad and pathetic.
I don't not care, but...
I think Clerks was brilliant. I think it was absolutely brilliant. I just feel like he's tried to wring every dollar out of that he could, and he's still trying. And nothing captured... I don't think anything that he's done in that vein has captured, the magic that he had with that film. Because I do think that film was brilliant for what it was, how it was produced, and what they did. And I think everything else has just kind of diminished it a little bit. And I know we totally disagree on that, but
I don't think we totally disagree on that. Where I would say we differ is that movie was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the movies that he's made with those characters since then, they all pale by comparison, but that doesn't mean they're not fun.
Yeah. Well, and again,
in my opinion, so
yeah, but it's again, it's you get together everybody from summer camp, and it's never quite the same. It's So,
but with his movies, it doesn't have to be the same as long as.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just saying it's like every single time.
It's not like it's the MCU where I feel like there's much larger stakes.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
I also kind of feel like, for some reason, Kevin Smith has to employ these people for their lives.
I would think so. Judging from their autograph lines,
that's what I'm saying.
Shows they go at, should go to.
It's just, So, anyways, it will be.
All right, I've got here. I'm going to paraphrase a headline I read more or less, and I'd like one-word reactions from you guys. Is that fair? We're playing this little game.
Sure.
Captain America 4 finds its director in Julius Ona. Anthony Mackie stars in the film, which hails from Falcon and the Winter Soldier head writer.
I can give you 3 letters.
Yeah. Go ahead. That is exactly what I said. Todd?
I am so utterly indifferent to this that...
The fact that it's like, and nothing against any of these people. It's not about them. You're doing Captain America 4, and you're doing it with the guy who wrote that Snorefest. I'm like, ugh. I'm so not. I just wish that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I really wonder, and I've thought about this a number of times, whether they came out of that and they said to the writer, you need to do this, 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 and this, and now string these things together and make a story out of it. Because there is no logical path between all the things they do, but it's like they've got just, it's they're just swinging at all these different fences and not coming close. And I do not. I rewatched some of that recently because I said, I probably was overly harsh on it, and I was talking to somebody about it. It's just bad.
No, you weren't.
It's just bad.
I don't think you were overly harsh.
I like the Falcon character, and I would like to see the Falcon character as a leading character. I don't want to see this guy as Captain America.
And I'll tell you, I think a Bucky story could have been really interesting. Okay? I think a Bucky story... Honestly, if you put Bucky with Yelena Belova, I think it could be a really interesting story. I think the two of these guys not liking each other, okay, and inevitably becoming buddies was not interesting by any stretch of the imagination.
It was. I just don't... I mean, it's just... To me, you look at the Russo brothers, Captain America, Winter Soldier, like, to me, the pinnacle... And now you're down to, it's not the real Cap. It's not, no offense to this guy's directed Cloverfield in Space or Cloverfield Paradox or something. Yep. And this guy who wrote this thing. I'm like, ugh, don't do this.
Yeah. Well, and I have more to say on it, but I want to save what I was going to say until we talk about Thor. Because I think it's more relevant there, even though it kind of...
Okay.
So I'll save it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Todd, do you have anything else?
Yes, I do. So, while he doesn't seem to be in a rush to write it, George R.R. Martin is giving interviews about the Winds of Winter. And I'm just like, I mean, he's basically out there saying it's different than the end of the series. It involves the same characters, but the ending is different. The same people go into the story alive. They may not necessarily come out, it's... Just, and I think I've said this.
What's this, the follow-up to
this is the final,
Game of Thrones?
This is the final book that the show went past.
Oh.
And and the ending, you'll need to wait until I get there. Some things will be the same, a lot will not. Okay? Dude,
no one cares.
Just shut the fuck up and write the goddamn book or stop talking about it.
He's like the slowest writer in the world.
And some people might care if his book has a better ending than the show did.
No, but I'm saying that was the chance. That was it. Okay? And say, here it is. Here's the ending I had in mind. Or whatever. But what? Just to be more than 7 years overdue for this book and still be talking, giving interviews about it, but saying... but not even claiming you're close to finishing it. It's just like, I mean, the other books were written. Okay, the other books are written and released while he was writing this book. The TV series. The other books were written and released when this TV series started. Okay, This book was supposed to come out halfway through the TV series, and then they claimed they were delaying it so that it wouldn't let people get ahead. They've come up with every excuse in the world. It's just like,
Is it possible that HBO paid him in nickels and he's still counting all of his Game of Thrones money, and that's why he hasn't been able to write?
I have never seen a writer talk so much about a book that he does not seem to be writing. And about every 6 months this comes up. He does an interview with somebody and says exactly the same things, and this is a brand new interview, and what I've done recently has taken me more and more away from the TV series. Yes, some of the things you saw on HBO Game of Thrones you also see in Winds of Winter, though maybe not in quite the same ways. Well, just write the effing book. It's like, yeah.
He must have a lot of hobbies or something, and I heard he does. He's into something.
He collects miniature metal soldiers. Yeah.
Someone cut him off from his. I don't really care. I'm like, to me, if I never see another Game of Thrones related thing in my life, I'm fine. I totally moved on from that.
It honestly is just. It's how they could redeem that franchise for people. Okay, to give him an alternate. This is the perfect way to give an alternate ending, so that all the people that just walked away in disgust can feel okay about this, and before they go to the prequel era. And
too late. It's coming out.
Yeah, but I know we've discussed it, and you guys don't necessarily agree with me. But I think the way they redeem the franchise is with House of the Dragon at this point, because most people that like Game of Thrones are never reading the books anyway. They've just been watching the TV shows. I think it clearly started out as a book franchise.
Those books, which were bestsellers, like tripled their sales during the.
No, I know it started out as a book franchise, and some people got interested in the books because of the show. But if you count up the vast majority of Game of Thrones fans, they're just people that will watch the show.
Yes,
I don't think that.
I agree, but I'm saying, yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe people, care. I don't know. I mean, I'll watch it, I guess. I don't know if I care that much.
I'm going to make you guys go first. Honestly, I don't know. At this point, I don't think I want to stick a toe in that water unless I know it's going to be okay.
Says the guy who still says he's going to finish Supergirl. So.
And that's why, Barry, because if I start it, I got to finish it, goddammit. Case in point.
Did you finish The Flash?
What's that? I have not, but it's all queued up. I did finish the. I'm 2 seasons behind now, I think. But I went through the end of the season that I was watching. So that was So I'm either 1 or 2 seasons behind. But I watched it to conclusion, and it was horrible. And I think it's 1 season. I think I'm only 1 season behind. But yeah. If I will finish a season once I start something. I don't necessarily have to watch the series because otherwise I'd still be watching.
I mean, the good thing about this House of the Dragon is it's probably 10 episodes. It's not going to be 22 episodes season like The Flash. So
yeah,
I know, right?
But when you cite that as a virtue for a TV series, you're just not that good.
I'm with you there. Yeah, this is why I gave up on the entire DC.
It's like ripping
TV
a Band-Aid
universe.
off. It's not going to hurt that much. Yeah.
And I only ever watched 2 of the shows, and I gave up on it long before you guys did. So my other thing was all 6 original Star Trek films are coming out on 4K Blu-ray in September. And there's going to be the director's edition of the motion picture and a longer version of the director's edition of the motion picture. Because they just can't stop messing with that movie.
A longer... Whatever.
I liked the director's version quite a bit compared to, every other version that ever came before, but I'm not sure I needed to be longer.
Barry. Really? Okay.
I just don't know if it needs to be longer.
Okay, how about this? How about like an hour and 30-minute version? Because that's what that movie needs. It really does.
I'm not going there. We're not.
No.
I'm just saying.
I was just trying to tell you.
I know that, but I'm just saying a longer version than the director's cut is just that's baffling to me.
I don't know how many versions of. I have so many different movie packages.
Yeah.
On Blu-ray, and I must have some of the movies like 4 times.
I don't think I need. I mean, look, I'm a 4K. I love my 4K, but I don't think I need these movies in 4K. The Blu-rays are good enough. Yeah.
When they're on closeout for like $20, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Has this reached Blade Runner territory yet?
Oh, probably. The number of versions?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe not quite. I think there's only 3 versions of the motion picture.
Now 4. Wait, Wrath of Khan was getting... What were they doing? They were remastering it?
It was just remastered.
Well, we already had a director's edition of Wrath of Khan. That came out years ago.
And that was what was remastered. The director's edition was remastered. I saw that
much different in there?
I saw that in the theaters
a little different.
Last year before last, and that was fantastic.
Both of those versions are going to be on the 4K Blu-ray as well.
Yeah.
That I would get. I don't know if I have that on Blu-ray. I don't know what I have. I don't know.
So maybe a topic for next time we record. Are you guys caught up on Orville?
No.
Okay.
I just watched episode 4.
We need to. When you guys are caught up, I want to talk about it because I know we're going to talk about Strange New Worlds tonight. I think Orville is like really, really good this season. Like I would love to compare and contrast the 2 shows.
Okay. Okay.
Just saying, they did it this week. They did a time travel episode that was.
Wait, what episode is that?
Maybe 6.
Okay, all right, because there was sort of that episode 3 that was...
No, and I'm not going to say anything about it. You guys haven't seen it.
Todd's only one in, I think.
It was as good or better than any time travel Star Trek has done ever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. You know what else I'm going to check out? Filmboy Collectibles. I don't care if anyone has anything else. I'm looking at the clock. Star Ace Boys, The Boys, Highlander,
God damn,
and
do those
Billy
figures look good.
In stock. If you need
they
them,
look great.
Get them. They're in stock. Kotobukiya, there's a couple of clone troopers. There's a Bad Batch guy. There's another guy. Check those out. How to Train Your Dragon statue. I've seen that animated movie and I enjoyed it. I like the How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, it's a toothless statue. Very nice.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's like 3 or 2. I've only seen the first one. I enjoyed that. But they got everything you need: Pops and Sideshow and Toy and Hot Toys and Hasbro and all the good stuff. Check those guys out. FanboyCollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. I'm gonna do something I got from them today. Todd probably, yeah. We're not only whatever. We're also whatever.
We don't only do their commercials. We're also their customers.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
We're not just their shills. We're also their customers.
Exactly.
Yeah, we spend half our paychecks there, by the way.
That's right.
So.
Exactly.
I declared Troy as a dependent on my income tax.
He should declare you as a dependent. Anyway, it's all good. So check those guys out. They're all good stuff. Okay. There's spoilers, whatever. If there's always spoilers. If you don't want to hear anything about
show comes out, Thor will have been out for over a week. So if you really want to see it,
if you haven't seen it, you want to see it, whatever, there's going to be spoilers. All right, let's play another game. When we do this, when we talk about movies, in a sentence, I want to hear what you say in a sentence. Who wants to go first? Go ahead.
Todd, I can go first.
Not a whole diatribe.
No, a sentence.
A sentence.
It was a lot of fun.
Interesting.
Odd juxtaposition of varying elements.
Would you say odd
juxtaposition of varying elements?
I would say too much comedy. Is that a sentence? I guess that's a sentence. That's a phrase.
Yeah, it's a short sentence.
Yeah. So that leads me to believe that Barry liked it the most out of all of us.
Maybe.
I will say
we should get deeper into the discussion.
I am still processing this movie. I will see this again. I might go see it again tomorrow night.
I wish I had time on my hands. I had a movie theater that had $5 movies up the street.
I will tell you this just right up front, and this is my thing. I knew about Jane Foster's backstory from the comics. I did not expect them to go there in a Marvel film that's got a lot of humorous undertones to it. And
that makes sense what you said. It's
that the juxtaposition of those two. I mean, her having stage 4 cancer, okay, and and going where they went with that. Which is, again, this is exactly where the very, very much what they did with her in the comics. Still, there was a dissonance with the lighter tone of the other elements of that film that just didn't fit. And again, I have personal baggage that linked me to that, but that was very jarring.
I feel like the Taika said, here's Ragnarok. Everyone loved it. And you know what we need to do? Crank up the funny. More is better. It's almost like Barry, you're talking about that in the offer. The guy's pitching the marketing. It's like, you know what we need? More laughs.
Yeah.
Ragnarok to me, if you're looking at all the Marvel films, and all the Marvel films have always had some humor. And this is what I hated about Last Jedi too much. But I think Ragnarok that's the red line. That any more than that is too much, and this pushed it. And almost to the point where characters are goofy,
right,
and dialogue was goofy.
And this is the thing, is they have what Marvel's been really, really good about is achieving the balance with the character. Now, Thor is an absurd character, okay? So you can go there, but you've got to walk that line very carefully, because if you cross over the line, then it's just goofy, okay?
And I felt it cross that line.
You can go a lot further in Guardians. You can go a lot further in Thor than you can go in like an Iron Man film. But there were still some very funny bits in Iron Man. You know, like the mech prep thing. You know, the thing where things like that. There's some hilarious things in that movie, but this was a different kind of comedy, and I don't think it worked as well as it worked in Ragnarok. I think the tone in Ragnarok was much more consistent right down the line, and I think they shifted from the very intense Hela parts in Ragnarok to the more they did the change of venue, and then it became more absurd, and you know, you had the Hulk.
But it was not so overblown.
But it wasn't this seesaw thing like this was, where you had, you know, essentially like they're making Hammer relationship jokes, and she's dying, and then, you know, this is what I'm saying, and it's just kind of teetering back and forth. I almost feel like if they had kept her condition as a reveal for the end, it could have worked better. But it was really, I mean, the flashback to her watching her mother die of cancer was just really, really disturbing.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny you mentioned Guardians. I felt like, not that it's super intelligent, it just fit those characters better.
That's what I'm saying. But
and I feel like this comedy was shoehorned into these characters.
And I don't know about that, and because you know, his big rock buddy.
Not big. I'm saying Thor.
No,
I mean, even like this.
Even Thor's an absurd kind of thing to begin with. They got to go.
I think it crossed the line with him. But even the whole Sif conversation when she had her arm cut off, that was just like.
And that's what
I'm saying.
I'm saying the tone.
It almost was like that stage play. It was so goofy.
Right. It was very hard. It was kind of a seesaw thing with the tone.
When he told her that maybe her arm was in Valhalla because it was,
and she's like, "Oh shit, you know, you have to die in battle," which was, spoiler, Jane went to Valhalla, and it was after the battle. Right. And I felt like, hey, I don't know this dude Taika, but I feel like, you want to know something? I could do anything I want, and none of it makes sense, because why did she go to Valhalla? It was the exact same situation. Just for a joke.
Except that, like, I don't think he really understands. But,
well, so now here's the point that I was going to make when we were talking before.
Go for it, about we kind of been blathering. Sorry,
that's okay. I've been waiting for a moment to jump in. I really, and you may disagree, I really feel like for the first 10 years of the MCU, you could have never read a comic book and you could really fully get what was going on in those movies, and maybe you didn't get the deeper meanings, and maybe you didn't get all the background stuff, but the story was crystal clear. There's a YouTube channel that I watch when I want to figure out what I missed on things, and it's called New Rockstars. They do a really good job of breaking stuff down. I watched their video today about Thor, and I was blown away by how much stuff they pulled out of comics. Literally, like, imagery and entire characters were drawn exactly the way they appear in the comics, and all this stuff that I felt after I watched it, like, I missed so much of this movie because I didn't know who half of these characters were. The guy that looked like, you know, they were in a room with water and it was this guy. And
did you feel that, though, watching it? Did you feel like I
didn't know who any of these people were. When they were in those rooms with the gods, I didn't know who any of those people were.
But that's how nuance is supposed to work, though, Barry. I mean, it's like,
well, but I feel like there was too much of it now.
But if you, I don't know. I think every element has to have a visual resonance, but they're also keying it into something existing. I don't have because I don't go. I mean, I have a more of a comic background, and I picked up a lot of things. I'm sure there's a lot of things I didn't pick up on, but there were a lot of really, really cool kind of tie-in things. There were also tie-ins to some cool tie-ins to the previous films. I love the acting.
Yeah, I'm just a little worried that we're getting to a point now where they've exhausted all of the stuff that you could just do for the average viewer, and we're starting to get deeper into stuff that maybe it's just you need to have more of a background in the comics than I'm sort of willing to have.
It was always there. They've ramped it up, but I'm saying street names, license plates, okay, everything means something in these things because there's a deep core of Marvel people behind all these things. And
I think he means like the story, and honestly,
yeah, I don't mean the Easter eggs. I mean like basic plot points.
Did you not get something? Was there something from the story you didn't understand without watching that video? And that's what I'm saying. Was it just, oh, this is cool, or is it I needed that to understand the story?
It would have helped me better understand, especially towards the end, who all those characters were. Like I get who the main characters are. I get what Barry's saying,
and where I saw it at the Alamo, we saw a 10-minute clip that really caught. They always do this, caught you up on everything you sort of need to know going into this movie. But I think that's poor storytelling. It's cool to have that stuff that you could pick up or not pick up on, but if you're not sort of getting, I was confused too. Like
there's also a crap load of narration in this film,
but there was like. What was the axe was opening a portal to eternity and all these, and then the place with the gods. They threw that at you really quick, and I asked honestly, that's backstory stuff, but that's not good storytelling. You can't just be jumping into place to place just because you're moving your story along without kind of giving.
And I feel like in the past when they've gone to places like that, like when they went to Nowhere. They explained what it was in a line of dialogue, and I got it.
That's a good.
A lot of these things, like and again, I don't even know what the hell they were called, but like there was a couple of scenes where they were in rooms with gods, and then they were in rooms with. I don't even remember the character names, but I'm also going to admit,
Zeus.
Well, no, I don't mean
before,
I don't mean when
the
they
one
went
before Zeus.
I'm not talking about where they went to what the hell that place was called, Omnipotent City. Like I got that.
Is that a real thing? That seems like.
No, that was one of the things that when I watched this video, it was literally frame for frame right out of the comic book. I mean, it's beautiful the way they designed it.
BS though. Is that like the good
all these mythological
stuff?
gods from all these different realms, and like I said, you can get as deep into that as you want to. If they need people to fill those chairs, they might as well have done it the way that they did.
I wasn't thinking about that scene. I'm talking about the scene later in the movie when they go when. What's his name? I don't even remember the bad guy's name, but
Gore or something.
Yeah, when he took them to that next place where it was a room filled with those gold-colored giant gods, and then they went to another place after that where it was just the one guy that was like
the Eternal
Watcher type.
That
guy.
was the Eternal.
The Eternal.
What was that? I'm with you. I didn't understand what that was, and I think they're using these things as plot devices without a good enough explanation. But all of these things are
straight out of comic books. I get that, but I didn't get it because I hadn't read all that.
It's just hard though when you get 25 films to start from a clean sheet each time.
And I get that.
But I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. They should just explain better. But that's just bad storytelling.
This is a mythology character, and this is the fourth film based on this character, and like the ninth film that he's been in. So I agree.
But they brought in all this new stuff that we never heard of before. There was a lot of stuff brought in just for this movie.
I agree. The Korg guy,
the Omnipotent
did
City, Zeus. I mean Hercules,
things.
All this stuff. Like
so, Korg did all this explaining of extraneous kind of fill-in things. Okay, some of that was humorous, but
most of it was played for humor.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like when they showed Korg's god and he was on a throne of scissors.
Yeah. But
that's stupid.
But again, there were things that could have been explained that weren't. And
I really liked the god of dumplings. That was my favorite god.
I mean, like that's like
Taika Waititi.
That's like Legends of Tomorrow, baseless humor.
That's that's Guardians type humor.
That's totally Taika.
No, I don't. I feel that the Guardians is a little more intelligent than that. I think.
I started to say this before, but I got distracted. I went to a late showing, which I shouldn't have done. We went to it was a 9:30 on a Sunday night showing that didn't start till 10 o'clock. I didn't get home till midnight.
Did you fall asleep? Is that why you didn't know?
I did not fall asleep, but I will say I was tired towards the end of it, and maybe that's where I wasn't 100% following everything.
I'm with you. All that stuff was not explained. I didn't know what the couple of places you just said. Regardless if it's in they should not have you required to have read something before.
And again, like I said at the beginning, I thought it was fun. Like, I can disconnect my brain from the fact, and I'm with you, Dave. I don't disagree that they crossed the line with too much humor, but if I can turn that part of my brain off and say, all right, this isn't one of those MCU movies where, it's critical, like it's not Winter Soldier where, life and death. I guess I shouldn't say life and death because there was life and death, but
that's exactly the problem.
But it's just a fun.
It was trying to be both things,
but it was fun, and that part I can go. Oh yeah, well it was fun.
Ragnarok was fun. This is just it was too much.
Okay, I was never confused. Okay, but I was also never surprised. Were either of you ever confused by what was going on?
Not confused. It's just
not
like
so much confused.
Was what was happening clear to you?
Well, I was confused why Melissa McCarthy was in a Marvel movie because she should never, ever be in a Marvel movie.
But I'm talking about the plot.
No, I was never
the plot
confused by the plot.
It's where they went to drive the plot. Sometimes was like, where are we? And but the other thing is, here's something. So, Jane has cancer. Mjolnir calls to her. The whole idea of what she read in the text gives you health. And yet, Mjolnir did not give her health. What's that all about? So the whole idea was to pick up the hammer.
Mjolnir was supposed to protect her. Thor extended the protection.
She's conflating mythology with what he asked the hammer to do. She's reading a text, and she's drawing that out of that, whereas the hammer itself was given the order to protect her. And to look
but it didn't.
No, but
if she stayed in Thor mode, she would have stayed protected.
No, she wouldn't. She couldn't stay in Thor mode. They said all at the end. They're like, "Oh, there's something that's preventing your body from fighting the cancer. It's being Thor." Then why would the hammer? How is the hammer protecting her by making her cancer worse?
That is what it could do. And the thing is, okay, there was a certain amount of her energy that was being drawn, that was being involved. I mean, I don't have a problem with that part. I really don't. It's a hammer. It's not that smart. Okay, it's got one job. It's trying to do the one job.
I don't know. The other hammer had a jealous streak, so
and one time when it floated in, it was funny. The fourth time, it was just stupid.
How about when he rode it like a witch's broom?
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming. Yeah. I will say this: Natalie Portman in full-on Thor mode, spectacular.
So okay. So what did they do when they were doing the scene where she was walking side by side with him for a considerable length of time? Okay. Now, did they green screen the two of them behind them walking along with the background? Because there's no way she's on like 6-inch heels walking like that.
They said the only visual effect they did to her to enhance her look as the female Thor was to change her height. They didn't do anything else to enhance her.
So did they do that?
They made her taller when she was in Thor mode.
They'll put her on a platform.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. But if she was on a platform, the two people walking behind her, but see what I'm saying? There were two people walking behind them.
They could do that with perspective trickery.
That's what I'm saying. Again, but it's...
Yeah. But yeah, that was what I read, that the only thing they did to enhance her... the way she looked when she was female Thor was that they made her taller. Because there's a scene where her and Tessa Thompson are the same height, and she's considerably shorter than Tessa Thompson even. Well, or she was taller than Tessa Thompson, but they're like the same size. I'm not going to
accept that those are her arms, but
those were her
those were her arms.
She totally didn't look so huge. I remember looking specifically at her, and they're not like.
And those are already gone. Because she, 2 years ago she stopped working out and they're gone. But yeah, no, those were her arms.
I don't buy that. Okay. You can bulk up your arms, but your shoulders don't get wider. Okay.
Well, that could have been the costume.
No, that's what. But I'm saying it's like Yeah.
I did like how she had a fancy costume, then he got a much fancier costume.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of thing is funny, but then with 10 other stupid jokes, I don't know. I'm hoping Taika does not take his freaking attitude to Star Wars. I don't need him directing Star Wars.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. I was going to save it to the end, but I'm a little concerned about this guy directing a Star Wars movie. And I like some of his other movies quite a bit. I love Jojo Rabbit. I mean, not that I would expect that tone in a Star Wars movie either, but I'd hope he has multifacets to his directing and writing capabilities so that we don't get a Star Wars movie with this much humor in it.
This leads me to believe, like, you look at James Gunn. James Gunn, Guardians 1, Guardians 2, the Suicide Squad, they're all sort of, Suicide Squad maybe a little more, but the tone, no one said, oh my God, you did a great movie. And he's like, I'm just going to do a lot more of it. I felt like that's what this guy did. I could do no wrong. I'm going to be even funnier. Like, very Rian Johnson-y.
But Kevin Feige, unlike in Star Wars, right? Kevin Feige still holds all the reins and has the ability to pull these guys back in, and he didn't.
I think he was handed a story element here that was completely incongruous with his vision of Thor, and they never reconciled that properly. So I think you could lean into the goofy with Thor a little bit. It's just got to be consistent. And
Ragnarok to me was
that's what I'm saying. That line,
you made him look like kind of a clown.
But I mean, even in Ragnarok, you go through there, like when he throws the ball and it comes back and smacks him in the head. There's all these things like that.
Okay, that's the hammer gag, and they did it once. They didn't do it four times.
But what I'm saying is, yes, but he definitely overdid that kind of stuff. But again, it's that same level of thing. I just think tonally the movie was mismatched, and
and that too. I'm not even talking about that. And that totally, there is like this. Bruce Wayne's daughter's dying, and then you go into this goofiness, and then it was very oddly juxtaposed. I totally agree with that too, and that's.
I was like, wait a minute, where did you get Bruce Wayne from?
And then the thing with the girl at the end was also just weird. And it's
now
like,
he's gonna have a daughter, a niece.
That's what I'm saying. It's like now he's got this ward, and. Yeah.
And it literally took till the last scene of the movie to understand the title of the movie. Because I was like,
doesn't even make sense. She's love and he's thunder. I was really freaked out when she called him a demon or something. And
she shot those purple beams out of her eyes.
That's concerning. I don't know.
I also don't think, and again, this is minor, but would Thor really have gotten a giant R.I.P. Loki tattoo on his back with the Loki helmet? Like,
again,
Thor drinks a lot of mead. Okay, that was not something that happened when he was sober. So
I feel like this could turn into my Marvel's version of The Last Jedi. The more I think about it and talk about, the more I'll hate it. I don't know. It doesn't have the stakes that Last Jedi had, though.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
And so the other thing is, Christian Bale is always good, and he played that character so seriously in a movie where he was felt like him and a cancer plot were the only serious things in the whole movie.
Yep.
I don't know. And he was fantastic. I mean, he was very believable. He was creepy. Christian Bale's always good, though. He commits to his roles.
He also was Baron Zemo. He was who really all he wanted to do was get his family back. Okay, he had this was his, he was the villain that you really wanted to hate, but in the end they took that away from you.
And Thor had this great speech that turned the bad guy around. It's hard to get that out of the goofy guy, I just need, this is another one. You could edit 10 minutes out of this thing and make it a lot better.
I really do hope at the Avengers campus they put in an Infinity Cones ice cream shop.
And that whole thing. New Asgard's a freaking amusement park. I mean...
That's the Disney thing, okay?
I know.
That was like they were goofing on Disney.
It was inevitable once you're bought up by Disney that's going to happen, okay? Yeah.
I did like at the very beginning when they had the guitar music over the title card instead of the symphonic sound. Like, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Yeah. This is sort of...
And it almost all Guns N' Roses.
It was heavy Guns N' Roses, yeah. Which
it was like 3 or 4. I mean,
a bunch of their songs plus the reference. The kid name changed his name to Axl.
Is this guy like in love with Guns N' Roses?
And then they used Rainbow in the Dark in the credits, which was actually much better. Like, I was like, yes, that makes sense. I don't know. I didn't hate it. It wasn't like awful, but
I just think of the good parts of Ragnarok. Like even when it comes down to business, and he remembers he's the god of thunder after his father, and he comes in with that Led Zeppelin music and stuff. That was great stuff. He just seemed like a goofball the whole time here.
And Russell Crowe was all over the place, too.
With that freaking accent?
Yeah.
That was like a Mario and Luigi accent.
No, that was like the Greek restaurant owner accent.
Right?
Okay,
that's exactly what it was. I used to go to Cozy Superburger. That was the dude I talked to.
Owner accent.
That was stupid. And then you got Ted Lasso's buddy. And
I liked seeing Roy Kent at the end in the bonus scene.
Yeah.
I know.
We'll see if he ever shows up anywhere.
Well, it says Thor will return. They're milking this for all it's worth, but I don't know.
He's the only one of the early legacy characters that's still around. So, I mean, what are they going to do? So,
here's my question: we're 25 movies in. Will we still have the same feeling like 5 more movies in that we did? When we were only like at Avengers. When we were like so excited that they were finally making Avengers, and then
not if Captain America 4 is.
I know that's what I'm a little worried that this may be we may be getting close to a jumping off point.
What's next? Is Black Panther this year? I think Black Panther.
I think it's around holiday. I think that's the next movie, right?
And we don't know a thing about it.
Nope. I'll Google that.
Yeah,
that's. I don't know. Is it the same dude that Ryan Coogler directing it?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
So that has good potential.
Yep. Black Panther, November 11th.
Jeez.
And then February is Ant-Man and Wasp.
All right. That I'm excited about.
And then May is Guardians 3.
I just don't... Where is the Avengers, the big, really... Where's the Russo brothers movies when you need them? That's what we're missing.
Well, we're getting 3 movies next year, right? We're getting Quantumania, Guardians, and the Marvels all next, and that's only gets us till July of next year. So
are they rebuilding the Avengers with who knows what? I don't even know.
I think you're going to see them rebuild the Avengers in the series. I think you're going to see characters plucked out of the. I think characters are going to be introduced in TV shows and plucked out for. I don't think we're going to see standalone movies introducing brand new characters to rebuild that universe.
It's hard to get back to a Endgame. I mean,
they can't. It's the thing. But the thing, what they've got to do is accept that it's something different. Because if all they do is build up to another like universe-destroying crisis, for 10 years, I mean.
Oh, I'm not saying that.
I think that they were going to try that with the Eternals, and when that kind of flopped, I think they've had to refactor their future.
Yeah.
Isn't Galactus coming at some point? Wasn't he in a post-credit scene?
Theoretically.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what could fix some of this for me would be if
Fanboy Collectibles.
If they do Fantastic Four well.
Ooh.
Barry, I was just going to say.
That's the thing. X-Men, Fantastic Four.
That might be their exit strategy on some of these other characters, and maybe they dive into the X-Men universe and the Fantastic Four universe, and then they can let some of this other stuff rest for a while.
I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four fan, but that seems like epic that we haven't really seen done well. X-Men feels like a whole different thing and has a lot of not baggage in a bad way, but there's a lot going on, with everything there, and then to reboot it all is that's got to be.
I really liked Fantastic Four when I was a kid, and there's a lot of good characters there that they could play with, and that could potentially help them build towards another big team up movie.
And I feel that could tie into these characters where I don't know that X-Men can.
But so you look at this in terms of, like, are the Fantastic Four new and emerging right now, or have the Fantastic Four been there for a while and just below the radar? They can do that with one, but not both. So either the X-Men are an existing thing that no one knows about, or the Fantastic Four are an existing thing that no one knows about. But they've got to introduce both of those two things. I think go back to X-Men First Class, do something essentially like that in the, kind of the present, or in the background during the alien invasion or something like that, or whatever. But I'm saying you make them, because the original concept with the X-Men was they were basically hidden, okay? And they were acting in the shadows, and they were doing this kind of stuff without people knowing who they were, because they would be feared if people knew what they were. So you can subtly introduce them in this universe, but you've got to get both of those things on the board in the next 3 years. And the X-Men, you can also start with a small group and then slowly expand that. I don't want to say they moved too quickly, but they went towards Dark Phoenix too quickly in both of the timelines that they had.
It seems like there was a lot done well, so why go there again? Unlike Fantastic Four, there was nothing done well.
Yeah. But that also gives them a clean slate to work with for Fantastic Four.
I feel it has a clean slate.
Yeah.
I feel like between first two X-Men, First Class, Days of Future Past, ignore the others, you got 4 solid movies there. Like, it's too soon.
4 solid movies that are not in continuity with this, and that's what I'm saying. If they want to get them on the board in the same universe, okay, there's a lot of things that they can do with an X-Men team and an Avengers team or the Fantastic Four. You could pit them against each other. You can do the classic confusion. Or
how crazy would that be? The Russo brothers does a movie that introduces both teams.
Yeah. But again, it's someone's manipulating them, or they're mind control, whatever. But I still think the way to handle Fantastic Four is have them emerge in the 1960s and then go into the neutral zone and come out in the present day, a la Steve Rogers or something like that. So they're not new; they're just back.
Is it possible that they introduced them somehow in the Quantumania movie?
We've seen them in the other. Well, we saw them in
an alternate universe.
We need them in this universe, and they killed them. So, yeah. Spoilers. I don't know. They got to do something. There haven't been any, to me, Winter Soldiers or Infinity Wars or Endgames. They haven't got there, since then, in my opinion.
There's also been a lot of TV that's been mediocre.
Not good. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And if they were planning on using TV as
we got to move on.
But my last point, if they were planning on using the TV shows as their jumping off point, they haven't established those characters that people love in the TV shows.
That's what I was fearful of Captain America 4. Like, you're taking probably one of the worst TV shows and throwing him into the big screen.
Well, and I've only watched one episode of Ms. Marvel. I can't really say whether it's good or not. I've been told by a few people you got to watch at least 3 episodes. It gets good, but if that character doesn't take off in a big way, now she's already in the Marvels, right? She's in Captain Marvel 2, so they're definitely banking on these things, to help. I just don't know if it's working.
Think about this too. This is probably the Guardians' last time at bat. So you've got to. I mean, they've they've got to come up with something. They've got to do something new.
They have. I mean, now
they got to
we're
do
at
something
the
new. And the other thing too is we're coming up on the amount of years they've got in this thing. We're looking at a generational change. They've got to introduce. They've got to have something that they can put in front of audiences who haven't seen 25 films.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised how little the Guardians were in this, and I'm not saying that surprised and unhappy about it, but based on all the marketing we saw was from the first 5 minutes of this movie anyway.
Yeah, but that works because they had to keep a big thing secret.
I expected them to be in it more.
I did like what they did with the Guardians, where it was like the Guardians trying to be the Guardians and Thor's basically getting in the way because Thor's being Thor. That was kind of inevitable, but it worked. It's
I almost felt like, and I don't think it's the case, but it almost felt like there was another actress playing Nebula. It didn't seem like Karen Gillan playing Nebula to me.
There's something seemed off to me on that too. Yeah, I don't know. It's frightening that Guardians is the big stick now, where they could have gone the wrong way and not been good, and they're we'll see.
Well, we'll see how that third movie plays out too.
Chris Pratt told me it's epic. He said it in an interview.
He said the same thing about the Jurassic World Dominion movie. So
yeah. So four Thor movies.
We're not going down that road.
I still have not. Four Thor movies. Put them in order.
That's part of the problem. Ragnarok, the first Thor, this one, the Dark World.
Exactly. Yep.
And I would just say the first Thor, then Ragnarok, then this one, then Dark World.
First Thor grows on you.
Yeah,
it does.
I rewatched it again over the weekend. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I've always loved that movie.
Yeah.
At least we got to see him naked in this, which was very exciting.
Yeah.
He flicked too hard.
I love the people passing out. It was just like, yeah. It's. Anyways, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know Dark World. I mean, we all semi agree. Dark World is the worst Marvel movie, don't we? In one way or another.
I think Todd disagrees.
Iron
Man 2. We going that road?
Let's say I'm entitled to an opinion. Okay.
No, I just don't want to go down that road again. Let's say
you're the one.
Thor:
that
The Dark World
Jedi.
is in the bottom two. You're looking at your list.
Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Oh yeah.
I do still have my hammer here though. Oh, Todd's got his too.
Mine's over there. All right, we're moving on. So I don't know what number I gave it, but it's probably a 6.5-ish.
Yeah, that's about right. 6.
It was a 7 before I started talking
Okay, well,
about it.
it's 6.8 on IMDb and 66% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, there you go.
We're
and
not
6.5 on the Regular Joe's podcast.
Yeah.
Too bad.
I've seen worse movies this year.
I've certainly seen worse movies, but I expect more from these movies.
I do too.
And I do think it could have been good, and it's good characters. I want more for this character. It's
Iron
the last
Man 2 is the same on IMDb and 1 point higher on Rotten Tomatoes. So, I'm not totally wrong.
He's the last of the thing, and they're making him a laughing stock.
Well, and he's a god, but they made almost all the gods kind of goofy.
That's the whole point.
Look at that gold god that Christian Bale killed at the beginning of it. They were all kind of like.
But that was the whole thing with gods and in mythology is we basically outgrow them, okay? Because they get we don't need them anymore. Wow, this is also 67% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. So it's right in line with right now with the Dark World.
Well, we still have a whole other show and what's in the box to get to. So.
I know. Part of me feels like we shouldn't do it, but we can't wait for Star Trek.
So let's just keep moving.
Okay, Star Trek season finale.
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. Yeah, I thought. I mean, it's funny.
This could have been written for me. Okay.
I love the episodic nature of this, and there have been some, not the greatest episodes, and that's fine. But there's some better. This checked a lot of boxes.
On the whole, this has been, I think, a more solid season of Star Trek than any other we've gotten in the last since they rebooted all of this.
I agree with that.
I will argue, and this is by virtue of only being 10 episodes, it is the most solid season of Star Trek, period. Okay? Because every other season has had more misses. This has got one miss. This has really got one miss, and even then, some people like that episode. But
which one is that?
The one with the
Elysian Kingdom
princess and the
I didn't even think that was the worst one. I thought the one with the kid they leave to die. Anyway.
But I'm saying but consistently most this is. But also, this also is the advantage of like being standing on the shoulders of giants. Okay, they know what makes a good Star Trek episode.
But they've really, I mean, it's almost like
years,
But you could have said that when they did the first season of Discovery. We know what makes a good Star Trek show, and they still got 3 seasons of Discovery and 2 seasons of Picard wrong compared to this series.
They took the people who made Star Trek Discovery, did a deep dive, and found the completely opposite people.
This is like the George Costanza thing.
This
is like they sat them down and asked them what they should do, and they did the exact opposite.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will say this last episode was a love letter to people who love Star Trek. Okay? You have a tie-in to one of the best episodes ever. You've taken this guy and you've made him probably the best human being of all the Star Trek captains so far. Okay? Pike is just amazing, but he's not Jim Kirk. Okay?
That could be his flaw.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what they showed. And that's what they brilliantly did was said he is not the man for that moment. Everything that makes Christopher Pike and makes him great for what he's doing will make him fail in that moment. Because that's not the way Christopher Pike thinks. It is the way Jim Kirk thinks. And that changes everything. Then that's enough of a thing. That is enough of a, just like smack you in the head with that and say, wow, this is why, we're telling this story. This is the difference between these two guys. And then to turn that around and say, oh, and by the way, you're not the important one. The most critical thing that has to come out of your existence is that Spock has to live, even if that means you don't. Okay? I mean,
they covered an awful lot of ground.
It did. They crammed a lot into that last episode.
I mean, if we don't see Kirk again, I'm perfectly fine. I'm almost hoping this is what
too. But I mean,
we had.
But the idea that, like I said, this guy not only knows his fate, he also knows the importance of someone who he's responsible. He's now basically got to be the guardian of.
Mm-hmm.
It
almost is so much better. I mean, I enjoyed all the episodes, but this is like, I don't think we have another one that's this good. It would be nice to have another one that was.
It would be, but it's
there. This is like City on the Edge of Forever, and we had a bunch of them in Star Trek.
If this was just a one season show and this was the finale of the series, it would be a great finale.
Yeah.
Not to say I don't want more. I want more.
I agree, Barry. They could end this after this. I mean,
I feel like they pulled out all the stops for this. I would have liked to have seen one at this level, just because it was like it did you had future thing. I mean, even goofy stuff like what does the Wrath of Khan costumes look like in this episode? All that stuff.
But it went against what they were trying to do. They were trying to make a show where people who had a cursory understanding of Star Trek could sit down and navigate their way through it. This brought in shit from everywhere.
I don't know that that's what they went out to do.
No, I think
this
they were
was
trying
always...
they were trying to make this show more approachable than the previous shows. Okay, I think they put a lot of fan service
into that.
And
But I think this episode worked on both levels. I think if you didn't know all that stuff, it was enjoyable. If you did know all that stuff, it blew your freaking mind.
Oh my God! Like I said,
I know
when he shows up in the Wrath of Khan era costume, and they've got him aged appropriately for where he would be at that point. It's just and again, that guy's got to say, yeah, this is where we're at, but this can't happen.
Well, and they introduced us to Scotty without ever showing him.
Oh, that was great.
My God. How
awesome was that?
It was like, just seeing his arm.
And you need him because Hammer is gone. So I bet you next season we get a new engineer.
One way or another.
It doesn't have to be Scotty, though. It could be.
It doesn't have to be, but how awesome was that?
In the Discovery novel series, there's an Enterprise book called The Enterprise War that basically covers what Pike and crew were doing during the Klingon War. And one of the places the book starts is him waiting for his newest engineer to come on board. Okay, he goes through this Spinal Tap drummer series of engineers where he's just like everyone's really excited to be the engineer and the chief engineer in the Enterprise, but something always happens. And he was really hoping to get Montgomery Scott, and then somebody else scooped him up, and he didn't get him. And he got this next person who didn't work out. But so yeah, it was like almost like a running joke before they started this. But just absolutely terrific. And
this season was the best season. This was what I've been waiting for since Discovery started. Yeah. I was waiting for a show like this, and I'm sorry it's already over. I mean, I wish we had more than 10 episodes.
Well, at least we know there's a season 2, but it's going to be a while. I
even that transition of, well, how does Spock become number one? Well, now they even gave us the beginning of that, and maybe
I'm curious if he. Now that's the other thing. Can he rescue her?
Right.
But does that change the fate? That's a whole nother story. I don't think
that doesn't change the fate because that was the timeline they didn't want to have. Okay, so he can correct that element. The other thing
can he? But does Spock need to be the first officer of the Enterprise?
Yeah, but she may go off to command another ship.
Yeah.
She may go to work.
That's interesting. That is a cliffhanger. A good cliffhanger.
It was a good cliffhanger. Unfortunately, it was the same cliffhanger that they ended Lower Decks with. But I think it's good. So
but this has a lot more weight to it than that did.
So what is the deal with the security chief coming back again in a command uniform and hugging Pike? And then saying, "Oh, we hug now." It's like, is there something going on there, or is that what was that thing?
Well, he hugged her, or
no, she hugged him.
She hugged him, but it felt to me like that was it was an alternate timeline, and a lot had changed.
That's
a lot
what
had
I'm
happened.
saying. He's like,
but she was never that warm. I don't think the person who left last week would have hugged him. So
that's what I'm saying. Something has happened.
Something happens.
She had that different hair, right?
Her hair was down and But
I like that little captain too that he's got going on.
So, yeah.
How old is that girl? 30, and she's captain.
I looked this up. She's 7 years younger. The actor is 7 years younger than he is.
He's 50 though, isn't he?
She is much older than she looks.
She's 40 something.
I forgot. I looked up their ages. She was born. She is 7 years younger than he is.
Oh.
So. Because I was like, she's a little young for him. And then I looked it up and I was like, nope, actually no. So she just looks really good. So,
now, what's interesting? I know we're jumping all over the place. So when he sits down to talk to Kirk, first of all, he asks him where you're from. I mean, his brother, so you should know anything. But did you notice that he mentioned his father was on the Kelvin?
Okay, did he say Kelvin? Did you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah, he did
say Calvin.
So, but what he did say, I was raised in Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're basically morphing his backstory to the alternate universe backstory. He's not he was born in Iowa previously. Now he's talking about being raised in Iowa.
That's the same thing.
No, he was born on the Kelvin now. I think, see what I'm saying? I think that's become the mythology.
But no. He was born in a shuttle.
No, so when Kirk...
being evacuated from the Kelvin.
When TOS Kirk says... the famous line is, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space. Right. He said from. He didn't say... No one ever said born.
No, well, he never said that, but there's actually the Iowa thing came from an on-screen thing that, like, had his... I got to look that up. But the first reference...
No, but he was always from Iowa.
That was not the first reference. The first reference was birthplace, Iowa. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. That's... I don't know if that's... but it was interesting that... Because TOS, the show, has no reference to his father. No.
So whatsoever. Now they are melding the...
And, like I said, it's interesting so that there was just different events on the Kelvin.
He didn't get any further. He didn't say my father died.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying it would be...
Why wasn't Sam there, too? As a little kid.
He might have been. I mean, you
probably
don't have your 4-year-old around your wife who's in the middle of giving birth. They probably...
But you might not also have him
if
on
you're
the ship
evacuating,
with you.
Wouldn't you? You would.
Or he was back on Earth with...
No, but I'm saying she was on a medical shuttle. Okay? I'm saying somebody else probably had Sam.
Okay. This doesn't make the whole thing fall apart for me.
It doesn't. Okay, so let me just ask you this. While we're there, what'd you think of that Kirk?
It's so hard.
It's Damon Salvatore to me, because I watched Vampire Diaries.
It's so hard to recast him, and they did such a good job recasting him with Chris Pine that it's so hard for me now to see this guy. I thought he did a fine job.
I don't think he was intense enough.
But he didn't feel like Kirk to me.
Okay. This is... Yes.
He's younger, though.
I think he... No, he's not younger, though. Because this is Balance of Terror. This is the same time.
Oh, he's not younger.
He's got different experiences, though. Okay? Now, I think he did a good job capturing the essence of Kirk. Because he was like talking back to Pike, who was a senior to him, and he was like, and basically calling him out, but not doing it in public and whatnot. But he did not do a Shatner impersonation.
Which you don't want to do.
No, you don't want to do, but that's...
And Chris Pine never did that either.
He never did.
But Chris Pine found more of the character.
I felt he found that confidence that this guy was a little subtle. I mean, I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was like, oh my God, that's Kirk, Yeah. I'm in between on it.
I feel that once they give you the Enterprise, you get like a little swagger with that, and you know. Yeah.
I think Kirk had it anyway. Would have had it anyway. If he had like almost pulled like a Commodore Decker and tried to take over, that seems Kirk-like. But
yeah,
it's funny. I watched Balance of Terror after watching that.
I so wanted them to get James Frain to play the Romulan commander.
That would have been funny.
That would have been
I
awesome.
love seeing the Romulan ship again. I love the Romulan costumes. They nailed all that.
And this was the great thing with this is we can't see Romulans.
They should have got that guy. Why wouldn't they have gotten that guy to play
both characters? It would have confused me.
Yeah,
it would.
That would have been hysterical.
But it would have been brilliant. We can't see Romulans in the series, okay? Because it takes place before Balance of Terror. So this is our one and only time that we're going to get to see Romulans in the series, at least by people who survive. So I was I was great. I also love that they use the upgraded bird of prey from Picard that they had, which was fantastic.
I really loved the whole. Yeah. I love the whole. They had to kill that they had to destroy that ship because the guy, that whole thing was so Romulan to me. Like, I thought they really did a good job in capturing the essence of those that race really well.
Yeah. No,
that's like right out of the episode. I mean, so much of that stuff is right out of that episode.
Yeah. No, I think it was very, very good. just briefly, we have not talked about the previous episode, the Aliens Predator episode.
Yeah,
it
was fun. As much as
I thought we talked about it last week.
No,
we talked about it to ourselves.
Okay.
I think if you accept that as an homage to that, it works totally, and I think it demonstrates. It wasn't. I think it shows what you can do with this format, where you can go from that episode to this episode.
Yeah.
And not have, not be tonally, it doesn't have to be this, they don't have to be sequentially one after each other, like you are when you're locked into a season-long story arc. But I thought
it was interesting that, spoiler, Hemmer died and the security woman left. That just seemed odd. That seemed out of place.
But I'm also wondering if they're starting to clear the decks, though, to bring in some more characters that we are familiar with.
Or
do they need to?
She's going to be used to get number one back. They're going to work those two things in together.
That makes sense.
That could be.
I'll buy that.
So
I'll buy that.
I wouldn't be totally surprised though if we don't see a new chief engineer with a Scottish accent next season.
I'm sure. How come there's no Yeoman Rand? It's funny if you watch this Balance of Terror. There's some uncomfortable stuff when it's sort of almost towards the end, and she's on the bridge. And there's this whole tense thing going on. She comes up, rests her chin on his shoulder, and is hugging him. It was. I'm like, what's going on with that? Yeah. I've sort of remembered that,
you can
but
chalk
to
that up
it,
to the '60s.
Yeah,
yeah. And then at another point, he's got his arm around her. What's going on, Captain? We all know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
But. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Like I said, I just, there's things that you got to just kind of accept. Like the fact that Jim Kirk essentially lived in a walk-in closet. And this guy's quarters look like a bistro. Okay.
It's ridiculous how big that place is.
But it's great. It's I'd want to go hang out there. With the fireplace and the big kitchen and, it's just so.
And they have it's so funny watching the episodes sort of back to back. They have the ready room off the bridge, and in the old episode they had to get on the turbo lift to go to the briefing room. That's basically just a card table and a couple of chairs.
Did you notice though that on the table in the briefing room they had the old style viewer? The little computer console that's way too thick. That was sitting on the table.
And he had new pads and old school pads on his table there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I love it. They delivered on every promise they made and then some. This is 11 out of 10 to me. So,
better than Thor Love and Thunder. All right, can we do What's in the Box quickly?
Sure.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Todd, what do you got?
Okay.
Hold on. It's heavy, whatever.
It's heavy. Okay. This is a... don't listen to me describe it. Go to Fanboy Collectibles, scroll down. This is Kota Bukaya, Iron Man statue. It is amazing. Just absolutely beautiful. It's 1/6. It's true 1/6 scale. It's got an awesome base with a bunch of melted machinery. He's flying. He's in a great dynamic kind of fighting pose. Super well executed.
And that is sort of the Iron Man straight out of the comic books.
And this is the quintessential classic Iron Man costume. Sideshow did a 1/6 scale figure of this costume. I don't think it's out yet, but they did pre-orders last year. They added a bunch of crap to it needlessly.
It's hard to do that as a movable figure. I think
but
does
they added
better
circuits
justice
and stuff to it. And this just
in a statue.
Yeah, this is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've only got a dozen statues, and my
dozen. Remember when he was like, I only want to maybe one statue.
Yeah.
Okay. this week, this is my favorite. I have a Batman I have a Batman animated series one that I thought it would be really hard to eclipse, and this is my favorite. This is beautiful from every single angle. It's just an absolutely gorgeous piece, and there's absolutely, it doesn't like light up, but the repulsor in his chest is like a jewel kind of thing. So there's a luminescence behind it, and it just captures the light, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So, check out the pictures on Fanboy. So, Barry, what do you got?
I have another entry in my vintage Star Wars collection, and when Dave was here a few weeks ago, he saw this in pieces, but I fully restored the Empire Strikes Back Death Star playset that I've been working on for a while. Did I freeze? Can you guys hear
Yeah.
me?
Oh, no, we see you. We see you.
Okay. All right, so I got this from a guy online. It was the most covered in dust thing I've ever bought, to the point where I almost sent it back, but it's a playset I've never owned. It's a playset I had never even seen in person. So I ended up taking the whole thing apart, cleaning it up a lot. I had to literally use a toothbrush to scrub dust and wash the whole thing. I had to take all the stickers off of it, and I had to reapply all the stickers. I was able to salvage almost all the original stickers, which is great. I did buy a set of replacement stickers, and I only needed to use like 3 of them, so that was great. And I've got my set of Bounty Hunters, vintage Bounty Hunter figures displayed on there. It's got the Darth Vader meditation chamber that goes up and down. It's got a flashlight in there that lights up. It's got a bunch of features. I have the legs taken off of it right now because it fits better in my display case without. There's legs. And there's actually a handle that goes under it that you can hold to fly it around. And there's a trigger that you can use to move the gun and make the gun make noise.
I was going to ask, if that's the Death Star playset, where's the rest of it? That seems just a little one little cross section.
What's crazy though is that this is like they built it in a way that you can actually mount the Millennium Falcon on the back of it, which is just nuts that they even thought to do that. But it's a cool little vehicle / playset. It kind of weird in its own way, which kind of
the weird factor definitely makes it cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of what makes it so much fun is that it's just a weird thing. So that's what's in the box. It took me a few weeks to clean it up and get it back together, but it displays really nice now that it's all back together. So Dave, what's in the box?
Cool. I know Barry has this as well, but this is the Hot Toys Luke Snow Speeder pilot. That's what they call it. I mean, I think of X-Wing, but it's not because he has the winter coat on. They did another great job. Even I think of all the stuff, the weathering they did, the dirtying up of the sort of the snow jacket he wears under this is amazing. They've done a really good job because
it is crazy how much they weathered and dirtied up that orange flight suit, and it all looks in scale and it just looks right.
Totally looks. This looks like the most like the character from the movie because it's got all that dirt and stuff on it. Most of the other stuff, I guess they did the Luke Besman, which he's all ripped up and stuff. But yeah, they did a great job. I mean, the glove, even the boots are this really fine micro suede stuff, and the helmet. And I didn't realize it until I opened it only a couple of days ago. To make the helmet actually not really at a scale with his head, it comes in 3 parts. This sort of mohawky part pops off. And to get it on his head, you have to squeeze the 2 parts together and stick this on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and actually you take his... I just keep on dropping his lightsaber. You take his hair off, which is held on by magnets, I guess, and then you put this so... While that...
There's the skull cap that goes over his head. And
the skull cap, that's right.
The helmet goes on, and then the chin cup just
pokes in.
On. Yeah.
Yeah, really, they could have made a helmet that just popped on, and it totally would have been out of scale, but... Really
like all the old Hasbro 12-inch dolls, right? Like the helmet was always
boy.
Well, they were more like dolls than action figures, but those helmets were always like bobbleheads. But this
gigantic,
is perfectly
They actually did
scale.
that with the indie figure that I have. The hair comes off, and when you put the hat on, it's replaced by tighter hair that's molded into the hat.
Yeah.
So
no, they did a really good job with it. I got to say, this is I mean, I think this is one of the better Star Wars figures that they've made.
I love it too. I have very, very happy with it. I think it's my 8th Luke Hot Toys Luke figure. But I
was unsure of how. I knew I wanted him in the helmet because the helmet's so cool. I wasn't sure what I have him basically ready to jump into the snowspeeder. I wasn't sure if he's holding a weapon, if he's holding his gun. But yeah, they did a really good job with it.
Yeah, and I think I've got him posed similarly. I don't have his lightsaber in his hand or anything. I've just got hanging on his belt. I got the blaster in the holster. Everything on there is just so well
because it just looks
done.
So good. Just really standing there. So they did a good job with that. So that's what's in the box. Okay, what are we next week? What are we talking about next week? Do we know? I don't know. Something. I thought I had it in my head. We may talk about this heritage auction.
You did mention that.
And something else. Stranger Things, maybe?
We can do Stranger Things. I don't know if you guys finished The Boys season finale.
No,
but
I'm nowhere near I've only watched one.
You're missing out. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Stuff that I have not even really started. I've watched the first episode of Umbrella Academy. I haven't watched any of that yet, really.
I just finished it.
And I'm starting to try to watch Westworld.
I haven't started Westworld yet. I haven't started Miss Marvel. I started watching The Terminal List, which is pretty good. And I realized the guy who wrote the Terminal List is from a book. The guy who wrote the book was a Navy SEAL sniper for 20 years and wrote the book. So it's like the real deal stuff, authentic. Which makes it so much better. So anyway, there's plenty to talk about. So we'll figure something out. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.